Okay, so this video is about how to drive a tractor. So today I'm Zach, who's here. I'll show you. Here's Zach. Zach Mansell, famous YouTube star, is going to do a job for me. He's 16 years old. Over 14, you're allowed to drive a tractor legally, and he's done a little bit of tractor driving. So this is a big day because he's going to just mulch the airstrip down there. So nice flat job and good chance for him to show his skills. So I'm just giving him a quick sort of talk on what he's got to do before he drives a tractor. So before you drive a tractor, you do what's called the pre-drive check. So there's just a pretty quick check you do before the tractor, and it's the same old story. So first of all is you do the oil. Okay, so follow me around to find the dipstick. So on this tractor, the dipstick's down here. So we pull it out. It's been sitting overnight, and is that on the screen? Yeah. Yeah, and so it's exactly right, because there's the upper level, there's the lower level, and it was right up on the upper. And you just make sure the tractor's on flat ground. Now this is just go back a little bit. This is really easy to do because normally there would be covers over here. Another thing you do before you drive a tractor is always just check for birds' nests. Now this was being used yesterday, but if a tractor hasn't been driven for, you know, a couple of months and it's been in a shed or whatever, often birds will get up and make nests on top of the engine. And you start it up and take off, and an hour later the engine catches on fire and the tractor's wrecked. So always just check for birds' nests. But this is funny because it's obviously easy. Then you would check the water. Now the trouble is the Lambo is air cooled, so it doesn't have water. And I have to edit into this video a little clip of, but pretty much there'll be a radiator and a radiator cap, and you just check that it's got water. Then just oil and water are the two big things. If that's what you would have to check every day before you ride. Am I still on the screen?
Yep.
Oh yeah. It's always good to check the tyres. So you just go around and make sure you haven't got a flatty. It'd be pretty obvious, a big bulge on the tyre. So that's kind of good. If we were, I'm not going to do it now because I'm in a hurry, but often at the start of the day you would do a grease. So that means you get the grease gun. So the grease gun is here. And as you're using machinery, you get to know where all the grease spots are. It's pretty much the same for everything. The grease nipples are always around, so just zoom in there, Zach. The front end, like there's a grease nipple right there. And what you do is you put the grease gun on the top, you click it in, and you pump the grease gun until you see grease spurting out of the... Of course, probably end up running out of grease just because I'm trying to... And grease will kind of like bubble out of this joint. So there's normally grease guns, grease nipples on every sort of point. Just shine up again. Every point of the tractor where there's something like sort of turning. So on the tractors, normally there's grease nipples on the front axle where that turns. There's a grease nipple in the middle of the pivot where the wheels pivot there. There might be grease nipples on the end. Just zoom in here. Really concentrate back on getting the shot. On these tie rod ends, these two they're sealed and don't have grease nipples, don't think, but then you've got your implement. So in this case there's a mulcher. So you would grease, you just have to figure it out in your head that there's things which turn will have grease nipples. So this mulcher turns that way, so there's a bearing here and a bearing at the other end, and this has got a grease nipple right there. I can't see if any grease comes out, so I just put 20 pumps in every time I use it. Just pretend. Then you've got on the PDO shaft the grease nipples on the universal joints, which will be there, and they're often a bit hard to get to. Sometimes you have to actually pull this off or have a flexible tip to get it on, or you can loosen the grease nipple and twist it around so you can get it. What else to do before you drive? The grease nipples, the oil, the water, the tyres.
Brakes.
Pretty much it. Well, you can't really check the brakes until you then you have a little bit of just a quick look at all your pins. See these?
Yeah.
However everything's attached, just make sure that that all your implement is, there isn't a pin just about to fall out, and that is kind of super annoying. Your bolt. So you have a quick look around to make sure that everything kind of sort of looks kind of good. I think that's all.
I think that is.
Battery. This is only just a we're not going to do the air filter and all that kind of carry on.
next thing is safety, because safety is our middle name here at the farm. Now there are two big things to do with safety, what's called the danger zones. Okay, so there's two main, I think, I'm not a tractor expert, but can you see? Yeah, exactly where you are. The one danger zone is in here. All right, so just stand back a bit, Zach, so you can, so if someone's sitting up in a tractor driving and you come in to talk to them, this is a danger zone, because you come into here and if the guy's foot slips off the clutch or the brakes or whatever, and you're going to get squashed by this big wheel. So it's always good to always be out here when you're talking to someone on a tractor. Never approach a tractor driver or a tractor until the guy's actually seen you. So you make contact with them out here. Oh yeah, I want to talk to you. Wait till he stops, then come in, and don't just walk straight into here. Stand back out here. And the other big danger zone is in there. Okay, that is a dangerous place because that's spinning shaft. So one of the rules, Zach, for you today is you are not to get off the tractor until that shaft has stopped spinning. Okay, for any reason. Yep. Never get off and just come around. I don't know, for whatever reason it might be. If this is still spinning and that's still spinning, you're not allowed to get off. You've got to turn it off before you get out of the tractor. Does that make sense? Yep. So you never go into this area unless you really sort of you have to be, and this shaft to stop spinning, and that shaft has a cover on it. And of course, just because I'm making this video, the other end of that cover isn't on there because it's sitting over on the back of the ute. So we'll do that before we start. Okay, we'll put it back on. What else? That's all. We'll talk all about that kind of stuff later, but that's just the basic how to drive a tractor. And then if we went into actually how to drive, now how am I going to do this? I'll get up. You're still filming, eh?
Yeah.
Alright, so the thing is, just see, here, give me the camera. Alright, so, you climb up in. Oh yeah, the kidding thing. So, with a tractor, I don't know how this is going to work out with a film, but the big thing about tractors is that it's the gears, the most important thing that any person, or I'll film back in there, that will tell you, any farmer or anyone who owns a tractor, is that you've got to select the right gear for the job, and you do not what's called slip the clutch. The worst thing you never see is someone who's driving a tractor and they're on and off the clutch, trying to go slow or do it. A tractor normally has like 12 or more gears, and the whole point of all those gears is that you select the gear that gives you the right speed for the condition. So this tractor, it's got 2 gear sticks. That one has got 1, 2, 3, 4 and reverse. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and over and down is reverse. And then that one is the high, medium and low. So that's got 3 positions. Back is low, medium's in the middle, and high's forward, which is written here in a bit of felt tip which is rubbed off. Okay, medium, right. And you've got to be a little bit careful because it's quite hard to find medium, the one in the middle. And then you have the power takeoff. So down here is this thing there, and that you pull that up, and that's what turns on and off the power takeoff, the PTO, that shaft that makes that shaft spin. You've got your hydraulic lever here with the positions, like from, that's up and down to lift up and down the implement. The acceleratory, which is the accelerator, this is a lever here. A lot of tractors have a hand, the lever is actually here. I mean, obviously modern ones is just like a switch. It also has the foot pedal down there, like a car. And that's when a lot of people drive a tractor for the first time. They're always using the foot accelerator, but actually you try and use your hand accelerator to get the revs right so that you can use those brakes, because you have 2 brakes, one for the left wheel and one for the right wheel, and that allows you to do screwy kind of turns, and sort of put a brake on while you're still driving. Yep. And you got the clutch over there just like normal, handbrake there, and lastly there's always a 4-wheel drive on and off. So in a 4-wheel drive, this in fact there's a lever down there, and that can be one of the biggest things, is that basically you always have a tractor in 2-wheel drive when you're just driving around on the roads, and you only select 4-wheel drive when you kind of need it. But then you have to remember that, if you've just driven down the farm in 2-wheel drive and then you're going to go and start mowing this gorse on the side of this hill here, you've got to remember to turn it back into 4-wheel drive, or you'll, the tractor will take off on you when you least expect it. And lastly, you have a thing called a diff lock, which on this, it's normally always down here, somewhere on your right foot. This one's got a lever. Sometimes there's a thing you push with your foot. I mean, modern tractors, there'll be a switch, electric switch, and that is what locks the diff, so that the both back wheels, that one and that one, are locked together, so if you get stuck somewhere. But the problem with the diff lock is that once the diff lock's on, you can't turn, because the tractor just pushes you forward, so you have to make sure your diff lock's off before you do a turn. I think that's kind of about it. Alright, always nice with a vehicle to warm it up before you start working. So you start your tractor up and let it come up to temperature before you just rip straight into, like, you know, mulching gorse or doing some heavy job. Okay, right, I think that's all I can think of right now, so we'll get going. Fade to the airstrip.